top 10 Premier League strikers of all time.
I'm going to get this whiteboard. I'm going to write us both on, and we're going to see and compare it, yeah?
Yeah.
I hope it's not the same.
There's no chance in hell that this is the same. It just can't be.
Well, that just means that you've put, like...
I think some of the players will be crossing over, but there's no way that, like...
I've got the same.
If we had the same from 10 to 1, I'll resign from the podcast today.
Are we just going to go, right, so we'll start at 10 then, aren't we?
Yes, 10 down to 1. Obviously, this is our personal preference. I've tried to be fair in that if the accolades are heavily there and they've won a lot, they will rank well. Not like how we've done in some Prime debates in the past where it's a bit more personal bias, I think, on the Prime debates we've done. Here I've taken a step back, and if there's some of the players that have to be there, they have to be there, even if I prefer other players more.
Yeah.
But I've tried to include players that I love as well, so it's a bit of a mixed bag for me.
I haven't just gone off achievements either. I've gone off, so some players I've gone off when I was watching them, unbelievable. So, the players that made me go, wow, might have helped them go up a bit. And then you've got players that are they've won shite loads. So then they've got to boost up a bit as well. So obviously top 10, I think it was quite hard. I think your top 5 was easy. And I think after that it goes a bit harder.
Yeah, I think there's a few in here where it'll show my personal bias a little bit, and there's a few big omissions, but I've had to weigh in longevity into the argument where some players had a much longer Premier League career than others, and that has weighed for them well in this list for me.
Sometimes it does, and then sometimes because the reason what I said to you before is where if I looked at a player and I was watching him week in, week out, and I was like, wow, but he didn't stay that long, I'd probably still put him quite high because he's made me go, wow.
My only opposition to that is if a player did that and won nothing, they don't get in this list for me.
Really?
Yeah, well...
They still do for me.
It depends when I say won nothing, we'll go through to it. People are itching. They're on the edge of the seats waiting for this content.
I am.
So, do you want to go number 10 first or me?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I've got Cantona at 10.
Okay. I'm happy with it. I'm happy he's in your list.
Oh, right, okay. So, you tell me yours and then...
My number 10 is on the wall. Ruud van Nistelrooy is number 10 for me.
Wow, okay.
Let's talk about yours first. You went first, so...
Yeah.
Cantona, obviously...
So Cantona, so I'll tell you his appearances, goals, right, in the Prem. So 156 appearances and 70 goals. I think that's...
It is very good. It's nearly a goal every other game. It's not too far off that.
You're going to do, what's the name, a Luco moment.
What's that? Oh, no, that is terrible. That is. I know what you mean.
Richarlison, 40 games and 19 goals. She's if you do the maths on that, it's probably a goal a game. Right. So, yeah. He actually... So, Cantona, this helped it as well. So, he got in 10 over... a certain someone, and I'll mention that at the end, right? Okay. It was close, but Cantona winning the league at Leeds, moving to United, and then going on to win,
He won 4 leagues at United.
Yeah, it was just phenomenal. And to be honest, he had quite a few assists as well.
He is in my list higher than 10th. He did make my list, but he's higher.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get to him when we get to him. But based on that, I'll happily weigh in on it now. I think that makes more sense.
Well... Van Nistelrooy's in my list, but he's higher. So
for me, this is where we'll go. So Cantona, 4 league titles at United, I'm pretty certain. 1 at Leeds. The only one he didn't win in a 5-year spell at United, I believe, was when he was out for an 8-month ban.
Yeah.
And
we know what that was.
And Blackburn won the title, I think, that year.
Yeah.
So I've got him in almost on that basis. Cantona's not a player I remember well. He's a player that I grew up hearing my family talk about and hearing adults around me that liked football talk about.
More iconic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for me personally, so I've got him higher in the list. We'll get to it when we get to it. But Ruud van Nistelrooy was one of my favourite players growing up. He was the striker that I felt like he was guaranteed a goal. He was absolutely lethal.
Yeah.
I've got him in 10 because I think I've got a spell in my brain where I feel like he was at United longer than he was. Cantona I've got higher based on the fact he won more for Manchester United.
Yeah.
And I feel like he is more of a Manchester United and Premier League icon than Ruud van Nistelrooy. But to me and my memories of football and Manchester United, Ruud van Nistelrooy is dearer to my heart because of my footballing age when he was playing.
Yeah.
You know, Cantona I never got to see. I wasn't old enough to watch him in his prime. I watch clips, I hear stories. We still sing about him now.
Yeah.
People of the older generations talk about him. So he's in my list. We'll get to him when we get to him. And I say Ruud has to get in the top 10 for me. I'm glad we've both got both of them.
Yeah, so Cantona, we noticed how like his apps and goals were really good. Van Nistelrooy's is actually 150 apps and 95 goals. That's even better.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And is he not the one they have the stat about, Ruud, where he didn't score many goals from outside the box? It might have been something like 1 goal or something.
He was
ridiculous.
a really good finisher, probably one of the best I've ever seen. But it was like poaching.
Yeah, you give him a chance in the area, flash it across at him, and he will score.
Yeah.
I mean, the only time I really remember him missing, and I was surprised, is the penalty where
Against Arsenal.
Yeah, Keown's giving it the big one. It's the only time in my life I remember thinking, I can't believe he's missed.
Yeah, he actually only won 1 golden boot as well, 2002, 2003.
I at least got one on there.
He is a Premier League champion.
But a couple of United players there to kick us off.
He
was
was
both in.
He was the golden boot winner for winning when we won the league as well. So
what I would say about both of those picks is I don't think if you're not a United fan, I don't think people put Van Nistelrooy in.
Really?
And I think maybe people our age don't think about Cantona either. But you can't look. Cantona playing 5 years for Manchester United, winning 4 league titles, is incredible, and his goal rate was fantastic.
Even other fans, if you haven't got Van Nistelrooy in there, you haven't seen the Premier League properly.
I think in terms of a quality striker and what an out and out finisher is, he's one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's one of the best finishers I've ever seen.
Yeah, unbelievable, and he gets higher in the list if he stayed for longer and won more. But it's just based on. So I'm happy with that. We've kicked that off quite well.
Okay, 2 United players.
Yeah,
good start.
Start as you mean to go. I've got 10 United players.
Okay.
I've not. Imagine.
Yeah, Solskjaer, Sheringham, everyone's
Martial.
Right, so my number 9, Drogba goes in there.
I've got Drogba at 9.
Have you?
Yeah, I've got him at 9. Yes. Well, I mean, what can you say? This guy, with exception to Diego Costa, who obviously is nowhere near as good as Drogba. Drogba's the last good striker that Chelsea had. I think Diego Costa did a job and he was good.
I think Drogba's one of the last strikers, like the old-fashioned strikers. He's one of the last of his kind.
I feared him.
Yeah.
I hated playing against him. He was a big game player. He scored in finals.
That's what got him in my top 10. Them big games were unreal.
I don't know, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, and there was a point where my research would have been bang on the money with this, but I'm fairly certain he scored and won most of the finals he played in for Chelsea. I don't think there was many in which he didn't win. I think he probably actually won most of them, if not all of them.
Yeah.
But he scored in the majority of them, even when they lost.
Yeah.
You know, you having a bit of a dilemma.
I'm trying to find the best.
Yeah, even if they didn't come out the other side, I'm fairly certain he was always in it, having a great game, making an impact.
Yeah.
And to do that, that's a different kind of mentality. You know, to go on and be that difference maker time and time again on the biggest stage is something that you see players go hiding. You know, still now, even if they're fantastic players, they don't deliver when you really need them most. And he was the complete opposite of that. He was incredible at the biggest moments.
It's different, isn't it? Because we're screaming for a striker to get it up to him, hold it off, play someone else in. Drogba was probably one of the best at holding it up.
Yeah, he's strong. He could finish. I think people were scared of playing against him,
you
honestly.
What, like, rings a bell to me. He's like, there was I think it was the FA Cup final or something like that, or semi-final, and he was against Spurs, and he boosted it up to him. He was on his own, literally chested it. He flicked it, like, to himself, and just left-footed it, went top bins. And it was like,
I'll play on my own.
Yeah, honestly. When you had Drogba up there in big games, mate, you
remember when they were kicking off in the Champions League against Barcelona?
He was like, it's a disgrace.
Yeah, I mean, it was a disgrace. Probably was quite happy to see him lose at the time, but it has to get in to the top 10 for me. Where you put him is up to you.
254 appearances, 104 goals.
Good return.
Got 55 assists as well.
Complete striker. I think the best Chelsea striker of all time. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Certainly for me.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, And I don't think they're screaming out for a player like that right now.
Got 2 golden boots as well.
There you go.
More than Van Nistelrooy.
I can't believe we've got one the same.
Okay, 8th.
8th. I don't think you've got this player in at all, and I don't think you've got him at 8. Well, you've obviously not got him at 8. I don't think you've even got this player in your top 10.
Okay, so I'll go. My 8th is Van Nistelrooy.
So that's okay. So we're not worlds apart there. I was thinking, but what if you've got him really high up? But I've got him 10th, you've got him 8th. That's fair.
Yeah.
So we've spoke on him. Anything you'd like to add?
No, best finisher I've probably
Fox
ever seen.
in the box.
Yeah, unreal.
Elite, likeable, on the wall.
On the wall.
Sorry if you're listening, but he's on the wall.
He's
Take
near
our
me
word
as well.
Take our word for it.
You're higher in my list.
Looks even bigger on the wall. It's such a big shirt. 8, Michael Owen. Do you have Michael Owen in your top 10? I didn't think you'd have him in, but I've got him in.
Nope.
Do you regret not having him in? Are you quite happy with that?
Kind of great.
So I've got Michael Owen in.
Do you know his stats for the Prem?
If you want to pull them up for me, that'd be great. But Michael Owen is in for me based on, this is one where I remember growing up, everybody talking about him. He won the Ballon d'Or, so he's in.
Yeah.
He's the last English player to win the Ballon d'Or. He won it whilst in the Premier League as well.
Yeah.
And, it's one of them, I think people forget how good he was because, one, his punditry stinks. He's not been the most likeable character post
And when he came back,
career.
he was playing for like Stoke and stuff, and it's like kind of
ruined his rep a bit with Liverpool fans because he had a spell at Manchester United.
And won the league.
He scored a winning goal in the derby that was miles offside. But for me, if a player has reached that level, certainly in my lifetime to the point where I remember him as well, and I think he's one of those players that burnt out, had tough injuries, but he was absolutely electric. He's one of them players that everybody in the world's talking about it.
He got injured
so
early in his years. I mean, maybe if he stayed in the Prem, this list would be different for me. But do you know what? You mentioned Owen, the only place I'd put him in the list, right? Maybe to replace Cantona. And because of the iconic Cantona, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm happy with my list. I'll stick with it.
It's all preference.
Yeah, I'll stick with it.
When I was getting ready to read him out, I thought you might not have him in here. I think people forget about him.
Yeah, I did.
And I think it's because people would remember him so differently if his career wasn't associated with punditry now, because he's a bit of a meme. And obviously he tailed off earlier than you'd like for a player of how good he was.
Well, his 2 golden boots was when I was 1 and 2 years old. So
it's forgivable.
You say that about Cantona, but Cantona was like, everyone knows about Cantona.
And as well, we're United fans, so I'm a lot more clued up. Yeah. Owen, I remember it's just everybody talking about him, like as well when I'm a kid. It's a little bit like the Cantona thing for me. But the fact that he won the Ballon d'Or whilst in the Premier League, he's the last English player to have won it, I can't not have him in my top 10.
Yeah.
Because he shows that he was an iconic player on, the biggest stage, really.
Okay. Even though I forgot about him, good shout that. I still want.
He deserves a shout.
Yeah, he deserves a shout.
Even if you don't put him in.
Maybe he's in an honourable mentions at the end.
For you.
Yeah. So we'll go 7th. I've got Andy Cole.
7th, I've got Eric Cantona. I said he was in my list and you'd not seen him so far, so you must have known he was coming.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? To have a 5-year spell and win 4 titles at Manchester United, our club, and the fact he'd already won it whilst at Leeds.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the icons of the game. I think everybody didn't want to play against him. I think he was just unbelievable, and there's a reason that they sing songs about him to this day at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've talked about him already, but...
Yeah. So, Andy Cole, when you look at this, it looks a bit worse than it is, but he was 23...
Sorry, let me stop you. Put my 6 in, because my 6 is Andy Cole. It tails nicely.
Okay. So, we're on 7, but he's got Cantona, and then 6 is Andy Cole.
It makes sense. If we're going to talk about him now,
okay.
He's my next one anyway. Let's just do it.
Okay. So, you've actually got him 1 higher than me, then?
Yes.
So, he actually only had 1 golden boot, but he actually won 5 Premier Leagues as well.
Unbelievable player.
Yeah, I think Andy Cole actually goes unnoticed a bit, I think, with people.
Considering the clubs he played for as well, I know he's he's at his best at Manchester United, but this guy played for Newcastle, he played for
Well, you've got it now. You've
played
got
for City.
You've got Newcastle, United, Blackburn, Fulham, City, Portsmouth, Sunderland.
I think it's just the recency bias. You know, he's a bit of a forgotten player for today's generation. He doesn't get brought up enough for them to know about him, which shocks me because of how much of a prolific goal scorer he was. This guy wasn't on penalties at his time in Manchester United either. I don't know if he was for the other clubs he played for.
What surprised me is his assists, 73.
So give us his stats?
So he had 414 appearances, 187 goals. So that's why I was saying it's close to 200.
But if you break that down for his United specifically, his goal return's unbelievable for Manchester United.
Yeah. And assist 73, I think that's quite good.
Yeah, it goes down as an all-time player, hence why he's in the list, of course. Wins a lot, has won a lot for Manchester United. Icon of the Premier League in terms of the clubs that he's represented and the goals that he scored. He's won the titles, he's done it all. I think there's some of these players you can talk about and they've not won enough.
No.
It's the one thing that would go against him regardless of how good they were.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a bit of a stinker for me. Who's your number? Well, I'll go. Your number 6 is Andy Cole then.
Yes.
So number 6, this is where you probably won't agree with me, obviously. I've got Aguero number 6.
I have Aguero, but we'll get to him when we get to him.
Yeah, I think you've put Aguero higher because of the stuff that he's won, right? I get that.
He's got to be in there, so at least you've got him in. The City fans are not going to be happy about this.
No, they're not.
I think there's a case City fans will make for him to be number 1.
Yeah.
I think they're wrong, but fair enough. You know, he's in the conversation.
Spoiler alert, he's not your number 1.
He's not my number 1. Spoiler, turn off now.
The thing is with Aguero, I really liked him, but we've picked it up on Prime debates before, where you've said, like, he's injured all the time as well.
He will,
but to get his returns when he's injured all the time,
that might be our perspective as well. As City fans watch City every week. I do watch City a lot, and I have done for a long time now, in most of my adult life and teenagers, so when they've been good, really. And I don't remember watching him an awful lot. And they might be thinking, well, he did actually play a lot, you just didn't see it.
Yeah.
But to me, there was always these spells of he was out, and then he was back, and he was out, and he was back. And it just taint it a bit. And I think it is a shame. It's not, in my opinion, because he's a City player, but it's a shame that, you know, he could have been right up there and near Shearer. Like, I know he's up in the list anyway, but he could have been so much closer if the injuries didn't hinder him so much.
He was a great player. I'm not saying he's bad, obviously. His returns were great. 275 appearances and 184 goals.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he's the sort of player could score 3, 4, 5 in a game. It could be the difference. He'll take penalties. He had a low centre of gravity. He was very strong for a small player.
Oh, yeah, he was. It's a bit like Salah. I think they're both very strong players.
Yeah, he reminds me the way he is because of his build, a bit like Hazard. I think Hazard technically on the ball is better.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, like the way they're both quite small and you can't really seem to shrug the ball off them.
No.
Absolutely unbelievable. We'll get to him when we get to him. He's higher in my list.
Right. Well, this is the 5 that obviously I said I don't think I could have any other 5 in this, but so, I feel like you have.
Top 5. My 5th is the only semi-exception to the rule I've kind of set for precedent for doing this top 10.
Okay.
And it's Harry Kane.
Oh, wow. That's your only exception? Jesus.
Because
we've got one then that's different.
Because I know what yours is as well. Is he 5th? Can I guess him if he's 5th? He's not. Is he not 5th?
He is 5th, yeah.
It's Suarez for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suarez, the reason I didn't want many players in this list that haven't won the league.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Suarez's level is higher than Kane's. I'd say Suarez is a better striker. But Harry Kane stayed in the Premier League for a lot longer and has got himself right up in those rankings to the point where, irrespective of the lack of silverware, I have to give him a shout on here for how prolific he was in his time at Spurs. Suarez was obviously unbelievable, but stayed for a shorter period of time and won nothing. So it doesn't make my list.
If Suarez stayed, though, I think he'd probably be fucking near the top, honestly.
I think Suarez is a better football player than Kane. I think he's achieved more in his footballing career. I mean, that's obvious. That's obvious.
Yeah.
But in terms of a Premier League great and how I'm going to remember them, he's an honourable mention, not a top 10 candidate for me personally.
Suarez, right? 110 appearances and 69 goals.
It's a great return.
It's unreal.
No titles.
No titles.
No titles for Kane. But
no.
You know, I'm not going Kane versus Suarez. I'm just saying Kane, I couldn't find a world where I couldn't have him in this for me. And it seems ridiculous on the basis, even if he got one title, but the guy's got 0.
Yeah,
he's not won. Has he won any? He's won no trophies at Tottenham.
No, I don't think so.
So it feels like
he's won the Club World Cup. Not the Club World Cup.
We're not having that.
Whatever it is.
We can't have him in there. The guy's not even got anything to his name, which obviously maybe he'll go on to do better things outside of the Premier League. It's looking like he's doing well in Germany so far at the time of recording this.
He's actually higher in mine, so yeah.
Suarez obviously had a brilliant career post-Liverpool, and he was still fantastic at Liverpool.
Suarez is one of them ones that I was saying before that was made me go, wow.
I would agree, but I also hated the guy, so maybe my opinion's tainted a
obviously
little bit.
He didn't, but he nearly won Liverpool the title on his own, basically. That wasn't anyone else. Yeah.
My other 4 after these, I think we'll have the same in maybe different orders. Well, actually, no, because you've got Kane in this 4, so we've not got the same.
No,
moving forward, which is surprising actually.
So maybe let's check.
But yeah, for me, Kane has to get in. He's a bit of an unknown one on the list for me when I made it based on, everybody else has won the Premier League on this list.
Yeah,
with exception to Harry Kane. Well, and you've got Suarez as well. But
yeah, I think you've gone more for obviously winning the Premier League, which makes sense. I'm not saying anything about that, but I'm just going off the actual player and the striker that he was. So, for me, I've actually got Kane. I've actually got Shearer at 4.
I've got Shearer at 4.
Oh, right.
Yes. Obviously, I think a lot of people will be saying he's got to be number 1, but I just...
Kane could still
one
take
Premier
it
League
off him.
title at Blackburn for Alan Shearer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Again, this is a bit pre-our time, so you'll have to,
I'll double check.
If we've got some of these wrong, and you guys are thinking this is blindingly obvious, we don't know the history as well. But won it at Blackburn. I'm fairly certain. I don't know. I think that was it.
Yep, one.
Obviously
94, 95. So yeah, before we was.
And that was the year that Manchester United didn't win it with Cantona out for 8 months.
Mm-hmm. He had 3 golden boots.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And still the top. And people have been struggling to get anywhere near him now for a long time. So that speaks for itself. But compared to the other icons on this list and the silverware they have, and I actually think they're better footballers than Alan Shearer, so they get in above him for me. But in terms of an out and out striker, almost, he'll be renowned as a one club man, really. I know that he's won the title at Blackburn, had the stint there, but he's a Newcastle cult hero, and he'll always be remembered as that.
Yeah.
Could have won it all at Manchester United, Alan, but there you go. Enjoy your 4th spot.
Turned us down, didn't he?
Enjoy your 4th spot. You could have been first on my list. I'm sure that really matters to you. Has to be in there. It's unquestionable. Has to be top 5. Doesn't get higher than these 3 for me, personally.
No, and it's a bit controversial, actually. So you've got Kane 5th. I've actually got him at 3rd. So I've actually got Kane higher than Shearer.
I have... Yeah, that honks from you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he's... Right, okay. So there's a lot that goes into it, right? So they've got the same amount of golden boots, okay?
Yes.
Kane, if he stayed, would beat the record, let's be honest.
Probably. Yeah, I would
Shearer's got 1 more Premier League than Kane.
Yeah, okay.
Kane has also got... So this is why I've put Kane higher, because I look at the more variety of their game. Okay, I know it's a striker, but you've got to do other things as a striker, okay? He's got an award for being the playmaker of 2020-21 season.
This stinks. What is that, most assists? What even is that?
I don't know. The first time I saw it, but it's a playmaker of 2020-21 season.
I can't have him above Shearer because Shearer's the top goal scorer, Kane isn't, and Shearer has a title and Kane doesn't. What more, and I'm not going to go massively against you because I'll seem like a hypocrite. When we've done the prime debate, I've got Kane higher than Aguero because I would rather have Harry Kane. But I can't see a world where you've got Aguero below Kane in this list.
I think Kane's
with
a better
all
striker.
of his Premier League titles.
Well, yeah, but...
Because my number 3 is Aguero.
Well, if you look at it that way, you put Kane in City's team, Kane just gets all Aguero's titles.
I know, but he doesn't.
He does.
He didn't. He's got no titles and he's played at Bayern Munich.
Imagine that at 93rd minute. Harry Kane.
It would never happen. He'd be the one setting it up.
Yeah, he would. Well, that's a better...
No, I've got Sergio Aguero number 3.
Okay. You've got Aguero, I've got Kane. So these are obviously the same then, these top two.
Okay, have to be.
Yeah.
And I think we've got them in the same order.
Heskey
and Crouch. Battle of the Beasts.
Have we got them in the same order though?
I think so.
You might be shocked.
So Aguero for me, number 3.
Yeah.
Only comes below. He beats Shearer for me because, one, I've seen more of him, so you can disregard that if you want. That's my own personal preference. Aguero's goals to games ratio, ridiculous. Goals to minutes ratio, ridiculous. Won all the Premier League titles, had the most iconic Premier League moment of all time, as much as I don't want to say it. So that will carry a legacy a lot further. But he doesn't quite beat these two in terms of Premier League icons. But he's in the. If we're going to, do a top 3, he's in it. But he doesn't beat these two for me.
Aguero maybe should be higher, but I think all-round games as a striker, Kane and shit.
I think Harry Kane's a better football player, is what I will say. And people might hate that take. I discussed it in the Prime debates why I had Kane higher, because that's my personal take. When I'm ranking the Premier League, I have to give Aguero his flowers because he's got the titles, he's got the goals, he's got the moments, he's got everything.
Maybe you're right.
But in terms of who do I prefer Harry Kane. I do. And that, United fans, take that as you will. It doesn't mean that I'm remotely anywhere near. It's my opinion. 2, I'm a United fan. I'm obviously going to dislike Aguero more than some other players. But I have to give him his flowers in this list.
Well, this is on your opinion. It's not.
There's no right or wrong.
Strikers of all time.
But I've tried
because of what they've won.
But I have tried to go on that this time.
Yeah.
On like what if you think of the top 10 Premier League icons, strikers. Yeah. I've tried to go 2 and 1. Then if we don't have the same, I'll be shocked. I think we'll have the same order. But even if not,
I'm actually double checking my order to make sure.
I'm fairly certain I've got mine. So. Do you want to do the grand reveal, or should I?
You do it.
Should I give 2 and 1, or do we just both give a 2 pick now?
Give your 2 now.
Thierry Henry.
Yes.
I
thought do you know what? At the start, when I first did it, I put Henry above.
Never. That stinks from you.
Because if Henry obviously stayed, it'll be like
that stinks from you. He's looking away. He can't even look at you.
No, obviously I didn't look at you. I didn't do it in the end, did I? So yeah, I've got Henry as well. And I just thought, we've done videos recently where, like, obviously, like the Mr. and Mrs. kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where I was like, my favourite player and all this, like, and I went, there's no one better at all. So I can't put anyone above him in this, surely.
I can't, because irrespective of how fantastic Henry is, and maybe this is United bias, so I'm not saying we're right, but to me, the longevity, the hype around... So, number 1, let's just get it out the way so we can discuss this comparison better.
Yeah.
Number 1, Wayne Rooney.
Yes.
Let's talk about Wayne Rooney first, and then we'll compare it with the Henry argument for this first and second. And irrespective of where you put these, I think these have to be your top 2.
Yes.
Personally.
Yeah.
That would be my opinion, that these have to be top 2.
We have seen other fans even say that Rooney's up there.
I think Rooney's number 1 for a multitude of reasons. The hype when he broke through at Everton... The worldwide talk. People were scared of him at 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
The calibre of goals he could score at that point. He was a street footballer playing on the biggest stage.
He was like a pit bull as well. Ronaldo described him as pit bull.
He was in everything. Him and Ronaldo, that's my favourite partnership in football ever. And I don't think I could watch football until I'm 100. I don't think that'll ever change because of maybe the nostalgia, how good they both were together at the time. It broke my heart when they both had that whole fucking thing. England versus Portugal.
Yeah, no, but they came back and won the league. So
exactly, they put aside their differences. But when that happened, I remember being a kid and being like, I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah,
like I sided with Rooney because I support England.
Yeah,
but Ronaldo was probably my preferred player long term. That took time for me to sort of come to. But Rooney maybe been very unfortunate in his career to not win a Ballon d'Or. The guy's never won a Premier League Golden Boot.
He was on the cover of FIFA.
He's never won a Premier League Golden Boot. People think we're lying when we say that. To tell you, it's the genuine truth. That's a stat I cannot believe.
That is because... So Rooney was obviously considered a striker, but for most of his years at United, we played 2. He was more the drop.
He played behind Rude.
Yeah, he played behind Rude.
We had Saha at the time.
Even when Welbeck's there, it's not because Welbeck's better. It's because Rooney does all this dirty work that you don't have from these strikers.
He is the polished, unbelievable best version times by 5 of Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Rooney is like, Harry Kane's got pictures of Rooney on his wall. Probably quite literally as well.
I said, like, Harry Kane's probably the closest you've got to Rooney, and he's not close.
In terms of his all-round game emulates what Rooney was about in terms of
passing.
He'll drop in and make a pass, and he can pull the pass off. He'll get it stuck in. He'll get his head on everything. He's got a goal in his locker. Rooney was that, but just lots better.
Yeah.
And he got the Premier League titles. He got the moments, the overhead kick. That will live on forever.
Yeah.
In one of the biggest games as a Manchester United fan, when City were becoming a much better team as well. So the game sort of meant a little bit more. Obviously, he scored. Did he score in the Champions League final? I'm pretty sure. Might have been the one we lost, though. Did he score in the one we won? Yeah. Won the Champions League, won everything at Manchester United, won the Europa League, won absolutely every trophy. I saw
something that says, maybe the big games let him down, but I think he was there in the big games. He was scoring against Liverpool in the Prem. Like, there was rivalries, right?
Yeah, he was scoring
against City. Like, the big games.
Yeah.
It's not just because it's a final that he hasn't scored in. It doesn't mean that he does all the dirty work. He travels back, and he says himself, if he's not travelling back, putting tackles in, or picking the ball up, spraying a pass across, he's not enjoying his football. If he's just staying in the box and waiting for it, he don't like it.
Nah, I just think when you look at the Premier League greats, and certainly the guy stayed in the league for a long time, and I think it's very unfortunate that his career ended when it did in the Premier League. Premier League, then to MLS, then Derby. I can't remember the order now, but it's disappointing that we didn't get to see more from him, and his career was sort of cut short. He didn't look after himself as good as some of these other pros.
No, obviously not.
And that's something that I like about him.
Yeah.
He's one of the last real football players from a generation that you don't see anymore. They have to be professional, clean. The interviews have to be perfect. Rooney gave the England fans shit. Not a moment that he should be heralded well for, don't get me wrong. But he was this very unpolished character that came from being a kid to being a global sensation in no time at all. And the pressure didn't kill him. And
I don't think you're getting a striker with these stats right. So, defense, he's got 303 tackles, 301 block shots. A striker for block shots, 301 is just incredible anyway.
Yeah. So the fact he's been in the box to get in front of a shot that many times shows how long he lived in the Premier League, though, in those positions as well.
Interceptions 206, clearances 240, headed clearance 140. You could probably say that's corners anyway.
Yeah.
Discipline's not great.
Yeah, we'll take that. We like that. We like a bit of bite in these players.
Yeah. But he only got 3 red cards in his whole career, and he had 491 appearances.
What's the goal and assist looking like?
So the goals, his appearances is 491. His goals was 208, and his assists was 103. That's just Premier League, by the way. So you've got all the other things.
Well, that's a fantastic record.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And you'd have to say that if he had looked after himself a bit better and stayed in the Premier League longer, he would have beat Shearer.
Yes.
Because he's the closest to him, is he not?
Yeah.
So
no, Kane is.
Is Kane number 2?
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah. So, but yeah, at the time, certainly, when he was playing though, he was higher up than Kane, wasn't he? Obviously, Kane's had those seasons from. But for me, favourite striker, best striker in Premier League history, maybe that'll change. I don't think it'll change for me personally. If I'm doing these lists where I give people the credit, and if Haaland stays at City and they win for 10 years, who knows, right? But right now, Rooney for me, 100%. I think it helps that he plays for England too. Maybe I've got United and an England bias.
Yeah, so that's why Kane was like higher than Aguero on mine.
It's your preference anyway.
Where's Kane?
You've had a stinker here. Where is Kane?
Kane's supposed to be there. Put Aguero.
You're trying to sneak him higher now. You're trying to make it look like you did put him where I did.
Yeah, so that's why Kane is actually above Shearer and Aguero and that on mine, because Kane is actually second in all-time goals. He's got 213. Wayne Rooney's got 208.
Let's as much as I could talk about Wayne Rooney all day, and he has to be the number 1 here, we've not spoken about our number 2, Thierry Henry. So let's give him a bit of a...
If he actually stayed in the Prem
He could be number one.
He could be number one,
And there's people that make the argument, especially Arsenal fans, that he's a better footballer than Wayne Rooney. I'd be inclined to disagree. I don't think it's...
He hasn't got the passing.
An audacious shout. He was fantastic. But talent-wise, it's not a horrible shout.
It's not. I think it's very close between them two. And I'd still side with Rooney just because Henry can do the passing that Rooney does.
And we're United fans.
I'm a United fans.
No, but I would pick Rooney personally as well. But again, it's difficult. United fan.
Everyone always says...
England fan.
Everyone always says that Henry's the best player to ever play in the Premier League.
I just disagree in terms of... That's a very difficult question to answer for me. Because at that point, you're saying to play in the Premier League, the best player to ever play in the Premier League is Cristiano Ronaldo. He might not have played his best football in the Premier League. So that's a different take on the question.
Yeah.
For me, the fact that he played in the Prem, he's better than Rooney and Henry career-wise.
Yes, basically people are saying Henry is better than Ronaldo.
But Henry played his best football at Arsenal in the Premier League, whereas Ronaldo played his best football for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You know, he's still really good for United. Don't get me wrong, he had the season winning the Ballon d'Or, the Champions League and the Premier League. But you can't say that was better than the seasons he had at Real Madrid where he was scoring 50 goals a season.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the argument comes in, because Ronaldo wasn't that finished article at Manchester United, whereas Henry was probably playing his best football.
I swear the Ronaldo best season at United was like 42 goals, was it? Something like that.
I don't know. It was the one that Salah either matched or beat. But Salah...
Well, it would have been 42 in all competitions, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He obviously that just shows the levels of Ronaldo there. Just to go on a tangent a little bit, because that was an unbelievable season where he wins the Ballon d'Or, the Premier League, and the Champions League.
Yeah,
and yet that wasn't the height of his career.
No,
you know, he went on to do better things than that.
Yeah,
which he could have still done at United.
You could say that about Henry not doing that. So yeah, I agree.
But Henry, in terms of the level, could be the best player the Premier League's ever seen. But I personally would still pick Wayne Rooney because he's my... I think there's not much in it, and I prefer Wayne Rooney. And I think Rooney's honours must be better because of the longevity. He must have won more league titles, more, FA Cups, things like that, than Arsenal did.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me.
Yeah, Henry is fantastic, unbelievable.
People didn't want to play him on the ball, technically.
Can I say something, though? So you've got Aguero, higher, right? You've got him third.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Cole... is fourth in the all-time leading goal scorers.
Yes.
With probably the same amount of Prems.
But I think Aguero goes down...
Is it the same amount of Prems?
You look at Aguero, for me, is probably a better player than Andy Cole from what I've seen on the ball. I think Aguero will get named as... Maybe not him, maybe David Silva, Yaya Torres. Aguero is the best player to play for Manchester City, if not David Silva, or maybe people say De Bruyne in a few years.
Oh yeah, I think De Bruyne. Yeah.
But Aguero's the one that people remember, because that moment will never happen again. Anything close to that it will never happen again. And maybe I'm being very short-sighted there. In my lifetime, there will never be a Premier League winning moment like that.
That probably tips it. Yeah,
and that tips him to the point where he's challenging with Henry and Rooney for me, because I think if I can see why City fans would put him as one.
Yeah.
Because to them, that is so ridiculous that they managed to do that.
Maybe if we had, I don't know, Andy Cole. Maybe if Andy Cole had that moment instead, it probably...
I think because the stats are very similar.
They've both got 5
Premier Leagues. Well, then you've got recency bias with Aguero as well. I've seen Aguero.
Yeah.
What I've seen from Andy Cole, not the same way because of my age.
Yeah.
You know, I still appreciate him to the point where I've seen the goals, I've seen the record, I know how United fans feel about him, where he's 100% in this list for me. But I can't put him higher without it being a bit of an unfair... It's like Owen and Drogba almost. Like, I remember them. Don't remember them fantastically well. Drogba a bit better because that was a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I can only go off my own preference as well and my own footballing experience, where I have to have them in this list. But the ones I've seen more of that were at that level as well probably go higher for me.
What I will say is I'll probably make a huge statement here and say I think if Suarez stayed in the Premier League all these years and didn't go Barca, he could probably be in the top 3. I think Suarez is probably one of the best players we've ever seen in the Premier League.
I wouldn't disagree with you ability-wise.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. He could score every kind of goal. I hated him. absolutely hated him. He's up there, one of the players I hate most in
And
all time.
Then if Klopp came in and had Suarez, geez.
If they would have kept hold of him as the central point, they would have never had, Bobby Firmino potentially.
Yeah.
And he was a different kind of player that went really under the radar for that Liverpool side in terms of the dogged work that he
was
did.
the glue, weren't he?
Maybe I don't know if it had worked in the same way, but he was that good of a player that it wouldn't have really mattered. They would have found a way. And yeah, he'd have been right up there. The amount of goals he would have scored. I mean, when did he leave the Premier League? 2015, 16? Is that right? I don't know.
I think he was a bit before that.
Was it?
I think he nearly won the league at 13, didn't he? 2013. I think he left right after. So yeah.
So
14,
he could have had another 5+ years.
Yeah.
In a good Liverpool team.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't pan out like that, but I wouldn't massively argue with you there. I think if he would have stayed there and Klopp still comes in and builds the team and everything, for sure.
He had the energy like Rooney as well.
But yeah, I'm quite happy with that list. I think we've got a lot of the same players there.
Yeah, so the only difference we've got here, obviously we've got the order different, but the player that I've got in that you haven't and you've got in that I haven't. So I've got Suarez, you've got Owen.
Yeah, we love Liverpool on this podcast. I know Owen only gets in for me because he played for United. I'd have no Liverpool players in here.
So Liverpool fans should like me more.
Nah, I'm only kidding. Obviously, goes without saying as well. It's clearly, we're not weighing into pre-Premier League, the first division and such. Even early Premier League eludes us a little bit age-wise.
So I will say, just an honourable mention, the 10 was, obviously you've thrown another name in now, so it would have been out of 3 names. Cantona, Bergkamp, and Owen.
They're your honourable mentions.
Yeah.
You've got Cantona in your 10.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That would have been a fight for the 10th.
Oh, okay.
Bergkamp was close. I think Bergkamp was great. It goes to show, actually, that Henry actually said like the best player he's played with was Bergkamp, so must be something there.
He's played with some fantastic players.
Messi.
Yep. The best, if not one of the best, if not the best.
Yep. So to end this, we will actually just give a roundup of the list. We'll go through mine first.
You do yours, I'll do mine.
So from 10th to 1st, we've got Cantona, Drogba, Van Nistelrooy, Andy Cole, Aguero, Suarez, Shearer, Kane, Henry, Rooney. So yours.
My list from 10 to 1st is Van Nistelrooy, Drogba, Michael Owen, Eric Cantona, Andy Cole, Harry Kane, Alan Shearer, Sergio Aguero, Thierry Henry. I'm Wayne Rooney.
I think people probably agree with your top 3 more than mine.
I think both of the lists are good. I don't think there's any glaring omissions, especially now you've just name-dropped a few extras. There's some fantastic players, fantastic servants of the Premier League.
Got Defoe,
Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
But in terms of when you think Berbatov for me, but when you think about these players and the iconic moments that come with them and the silverware, I can't really put anybody else in because they've not done enough. I struggle putting Kane in without winning the damn thing.
I will say, in 5 years, you won't able to do a list like, do you know, from strikers from the last 5-10 years, say in 10 years' time, your striker list would be terrible because you don't have strikers like these anymore.
No, it's very different. It's front 3, isn't it? People play 4-3-3. Wingers are the ones scoring goals.
I think wingers is the new striker.
Yeah. In 10 years, it'll be a top 10 goal scorers.
Yes, it'd have to be, yeah.
And I'm not saying you pick the ones that have scored the most necessarily, but although they'll be in there. But if you're picking your favourite and what they've won, but yeah, it's difficult. But let us know what you think. Have we had an absolute stinker and left some out? I think the lists are good. I think, the order's up for debate, but that's all the fun. We've got all different preferences there.
To show that we've only got one name different in there shows us quite.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all she wrote.